share the link. What did you think of Monday Night Raw? Did it get you excited? Did it pump you up for Hell in a Cell? Are you pumped for Hell in a Cell, dude? Are you ready for them to get inside of the red cage and feel the rage? Let's get into all of it tonight on this live post show. What are your comments? Are on screen.
Why'd you turn it off? There's no music playing, Kevin. You turned off.
Oh, the music isn't playing because the thing isn't on screen. That helps. Now the music's back on screen. Ridiculousness. And we're gonna stay in Oh, we are after a doozy of a Monday Night Raw. If you're watching live on, thank you so much. If you're watching live on Facebook, thank you so much. If you're listening on the podcast feed, thank you so much. So much for devouring the exclusive interview with James Storm. If you haven't checked it out, it is free agents in professional wrestling. How you doing, everybody? I'm Kev Kellum. This is the WrestleZone post show, the WrestleZone wrap up for Monday, October 19th. Thank you so much for joining us. I am not alone, joined by a familiar face we've had on Mondays here for quite some time, Mr. John Clark from Central PA. And we joined by a new friend here who's been in the WrestleZone team for quite some time, Mr. Colin Tessier. Colin, am I saying Tessier correctly? Tessier?
You are. You actually are.
All right. Well, good. I've gotten Kevin Keelam many a time here. At some point, maybe Robert DeFulis will join us from Tampa Bay, Florida. If you're a fan of the show, you know him and all the quippy things that we do. If you're looking for some Halloween fun, Robert and I watched 3+ grueling hours of WCW Halloween Havoc 1998. If you want to watch that scary show, scary for bad reasons, you can fire that show up on the WWE Network and watch our commentary feed on like another screen. We have that up on Facebook and YouTube and all that fun stuff. Robert, hopefully rejoining us here at some point. We held off on doing tonight's show so he could get in here. But want to talk to all of you. Sound off on tonight's Monday Night Raw. The 1 to 10. 1 being you find out you're the revolting blob from Billy Madison. 10, you find out you're Billy Madison. All right. And John just gave it a big goose egg. That's not good. That is not good. A lot of people bringing up Otis. We had some ridiculous stuff with Otis tonight. And that was Otis. We can confirm. No one has told us, but sources at WrestleZone can confirm to us that Otis is the masked man known as El Gran Gordo. We'll talk about that and the hype for Hell in a Cell. We got a title match that was more of an angle with Lana and Asuka. We had an angle at the end of the show that may or may not have been cut off by TV time. It isn't exactly clear. There were some good things on this show. There were some bad things on this show. We'll get into most of it. If we forget something, don't be afraid to shout out from the comments here. Some people already giving the show a 6. Stephen Jordan gives it a flat 0. He didn't like it at all. Michael gives it a 7. So the 1 to 10 rating, let us know what you think. Steve Jordan says it was a shit show. It was an absolute shit show. And Sean Smith saying that's as bad as an AEW show. You're just, you're just trying to take some pot shots here. That's
Sean knows what's up.
John just appreciates someone just talking shiz on AEW. All right, so let's get into it, guys. The show closes with Randy Orton inside Hell in a Cell for the third and final showdown between him and WWE Champion Drew McIntyre for the prize of it all, the WWE Championship. He talked about all of his matches inside Hell in a Cell. I thought that was good. A real shout back to all of his history in there and the respect he got from The Undertaker and all the different people he's defeated in there. And he locked the cage only for Drew McIntyre to cut the lock with a bolt cutter, which I thought was some fun haha shenanigans. And then they get in the cage and Raw's done. What did you think of the show closing segment? People joining us right now, that's the last thing they saw, Colin. What did you think of it? Did this get cut off? Am I wrong? Did it feel like we were supposed to get a little bit something more, or was Raw supposed to end that way? Because that's what they'll tell us. If it did get cut off, we'll be told, oh, no, it was supposed to end that way. What do you think, Colin?
I mean, I feel like it was intentional because there's nothing else they could have really done there in terms of nothing we haven't already seen before, whether it's another brawl or Drew McIntyre Claymore kicking him again or Randy somehow managing to RKO him. I think that's probably in an odd way the best we could have asked for. Because it kind of leaves the match on relatively neutral ground in that sense. So like I felt it was really weird the way it was pulled off, but it was kind of a cool cliffhanger in a way. I don't know, like probably not the way I would have like ideally liked to see it go down, but I'm okay with it. It's again, I think a lot of the things with this show, they're trying something different, and some of them hit and some of them didn't. And more often than not, I can at least appreciate them trying. Because like a lot of the time they would just end with a brawl and like a security pulling them apart, and that was like something we haven't exactly seen before. So
Colin, you make a great point there. They did leave the show on a cliffhanger into a pay-per-view, right? That's effective. They did give you the sell. The sell is a big selling point for this pay-per-view for casual fans, even hardcore fans. You're getting 3 Hell in a Cell matches, not just 2. You're getting 3. So this show I think will run long, by the way, on Sunday. And people saying they pulled a WCW ending. Of course, the infamous WCW Halloween Havoc that we watched last night when people ordered it on pay-per-view in October of 1998. That show was cut off at the end. So I'm on the side that I think they wanted the show to end that way and maybe leave us kind of wanting more. I clicked over to the WWE Network. They do the Raw post show there. And they have that, and they didn't like immediately fire off. I thought that would be something they would do, and because they didn't say that, so that wasn't made official either. John, what do you think here? Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Hell in a Cell. Did they hype you up for it? Because it just felt like a lot of the work to get to this match had already been done. Tonight it was all, let's just put them in the cell, have them show down, and cut it off and get out of it.
Firstly, I want to say that there was strategic placement of bolt cutters tonight. They just happened to be in the area where Drew could get to them. It did not hype me for the match any more than I already was. I have been lobbying since August for Orton to win this championship. We are now 3 pay-per-views into this feud. 3rd time's a charm, I hope. But to answer your original question, the segment tonight did not get me any more hyped for this match than I already was, and I think that just says a lot about the show in general.
We got 3 opinions in the room, but why not? Why don't we just have a running opinion? Coming down the aisle, coming up from the south. He better be wearing a mask because Florida is very much a germ-infested area.
When he cuts out, when he cuts
Robert,
out again,
I've never felt safer for you being in a different room in my entire life because things are not great currently in Florida. But I do need to know your opinion, Robert. The Red Cage was doing the work for them tonight in the final closing segment of Monday Night Raw. Are you sold on Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre and possibly getting cut off at the end of this television program tonight?
I was sold on the match itself when the match was announced because they're 2 good guys who can wrestle, and I believe in what they can do. I don't know if they need all the bells and whistles. Their feud has been the longest one going, so it makes the most sense for them to be inside the cage. I see we have a comment here. Do you see Orton taking the title? I do, but I've said that every month since August, and I've been wrong.
We've been wrong every month.
you never know.
And we've been wrong every month, and we thought, this title was coming off him at the Clash, and it didn't come off him at the Clash, and we thought, SummerSlam would be a good time maybe for Drew to, take a break and get off. If you're going to do it, maybe this is the time, but I could be wrong. We've been wrong now for a couple months about what they're going to do with Drew, and they definitely wanted to keep you guessing with him, so I'll give them that. They're definitely not trying to do this play-by-numbers thing. They're trying to at least shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And, at some point, they're going to need to take this belt off of him. I think Hell in a Cell's the day. I will say this is the end one way or another. If Randy doesn't get it here, he's not going to get it.
I would hope not.
Yeah, so we have some people saying Joanne is texting, who's going to watch Hell in a Cell?
I think we all are. It's our jobs, Joanne.
We're going to watch
literally
it.
writing about it, so.
I hate to break it
like John is pointing at the people that are going to watch Hell in a Cell on the screen. Thank you, John.
I'm sorry that it is my job at times, but it is my job. And I will be watching Hell in a Cell.
I do want to know this, though, for fans watching, did this show sell you on Hell in a Cell? This is the season premiere of Raw. They wanted to really establish new names that they brought over on the show. They did that quite a bit. They added some pyro. You got some bigger intros. You didn't get Raw Underground, which maybe is a thing of the past, right? From what we heard this past week.
Now tonight they confirmed it with AJ Styles' new giant heater of a man.
That guy is 7'4". He is so huge. AJ Styles taking on Matt Riddle. Successful. I thought this was one of the better singles matches of the night. There wasn't any particular match of the night, though. There's a lot of angle-heavy things tonight. And this match was almost built around, this guy is huge, and he's going to help AJ Styles win matches. And he didn't have to do a whole lot. He got out of the ring, and all he did was clench his fist, and Matt Riddle ran scared back into the ring to get a Styles clash. It was working. What do you think of AJ Styles and his new henchman there, Colin?
I tweeted about it. I think if all goes well, I don't know how to pronounce the guy's last name, but it's Jordan something.
It's gonna be Big Jordan. You ain't gotta remember.
Let's go with Big Jordan. I think if all goes well, I think he could be like a Kevin Nash to AJ Shawn Michaels, where he's got that size, so he doesn't even need to do like that much. He's got that going for him. He just has like the look, like even more than Lars Sullivan, some of these other big guys. Like nobody else is 7'3". Like he's definitely got that presence. I did think it kind of made Matt Riddle look like a wimp in a way, because this guy's like a former UFC fighter, and he's like shaking in his boots, literally. Obviously, like for a good reason, but I feel like they could have done either like maybe a different match, like someone that it's a little more logical to have like literally scared of someone other than Matt Riddle. Wasn't the best way to bring him on Raw, because obviously I think he could be somebody that really adds some new blood to the roster, but I think it was a good way to get the guy over. Big Jordan, that is.
Big Jordan. John Clark, sound off on this big guy that's coming to the scene here. I mean, we haven't seen him wrestle yet. Robert, he's been in the NXT system for quite some time. We haven't seen him wrestle. John, are you eager to see what this guy can do between bell to bell?
I mean, not necessarily. I just think it's cool to see AJ with him doing something. Just makes AJ look more of like that character that has like tough guy behind him. And who knows if we're going to see this guy wrestle anytime soon. I thought it was funny how he interacted with the ref, and the ref was all scared of him, like, oh, I better not kick him out of the ring or he's going to beat me up. But I don't necessarily think he's going to be in a match anytime soon. I think he's going to be more of like a manager type person for now. I mean, that's what I think.
I don't think he ever needs to get inside the ring outside of a tag team scenario. I think this is great for him. He's working with the best in the world in AJ Styles. Big Jordan, hell of a resume on this man. Goes from being a ninja to a bouncer for Shane McMahon to a heater for AJ Styles in like 4 months. So good on Big Jordan.
You can't teach big, Robert. All right. Based on what I've been told from Enzo Amore, you can't it. All right. It's not
fact. You can't teach it. Some people are just big. Dabba-Kato is big. Some people aren't, but Big Jordan is big. And this was one of the better things to come out of a very sleepy episode of Monday Night Raw.
I would agree. It did feel sleepy. I didn't feel like we were getting Hell in a Cell on Sunday. And I mentioned this right before we went on air. It's the pattern that I think we've gotten from WWE, Raw, and SmackDown for quite some time. At least for Raw. I wouldn't say that for SmackDown. SmackDown has built up the last few shows, and even their SummerSlam offerings were interesting to me. With Raw, though, I just think the show is long, and they have to drag things out so much that you don't get that punchy conciseness where everything comes into 2 minutes, or everything comes into a single match that builds to a bigger match on a pay-per-view or the network or something like that. It feels like they have to draw things out so much that we kind of get everything's almost gets lost in the sauce. And I felt that tonight, where it's like, let's let the Hell in a Cell do the work, and let's Randy Orton cut a promo about the cell and all these different things. And I think we're going to have a great pay-per-view. I don't think this is going to be a bad show. I do think they remember Hell in a Cell last year and the different things they tried there and how that didn't work. And how they need to remind you of those things and get away from all that stuff. Am I recalling that correctly? Is that the Hell in a Cell disaster of last year with Bray Wyatt and everything?
Yes.
So I mean, I remember that was not a great point, and that was a big point for fans to go off on WWE. I don't think we're getting that this Sunday. I think we're going to get a show like Clash of Champions where everyone leaves it being like, oh wow, this is a really fun show. Like I had a really good time. Or SummerSlam, we're like, hey, SummerSlam's a bigger show. Are you guys going to deliver on? And they did, and it was a really fun show. So the weird thing is, it's odd when you say that there's things they save for pay-per-view that are better. But we did get some big things on TV. If you're a hardcore fan, or you're a casual fan, certainly one of the more characters that's interested with the casual fans is the Fiend. He got to be a big part of the opening of the show with Alexa Bliss and him kind of holding hands. And even though he's a monster having manners, he held her hand very, very discreetly. And they got into it with Retribution. Retribution took on the Hurt Business in an 8-man tag match. Retribution now led by Ali, only for the Fiend to return and destroy all of them. All of them. Didn't get his hands on Ali, their leader, but he did take out T-Bar pretty aggressively. We got to see them later on the night. Ali revealing that he was indeed the hacker on SmackDown. The thing that we all sort of knew if you followed and connected the dots. But I'll give it to him on this, Colin. They at least didn't insult your intelligence and said, yeah, you kind of knew he was the hacker. He was the hacker. And this thing was all just pre-Retribution, before Retribution. What did you think of that? I thought that was okay. I was like, yeah, thank you. Thank you for, it was obvious, but like to a casual fan, it might not be, right?
Yeah, like sometimes it feels like WWE doesn't do the obvious things. Like they'll just leave. Sometimes they do way too much, like to make you know something, and sometimes they like don't do enough. They just let you assume it. Here, I was glad that they just actually confirmed it, and we could just kind of put that to bed because it just made too much sense not to go that way. Because for a long time, you know, they dropped the hacker thing, and we didn't really know. Like it was over, and then we had Retribution, and that was a nice way to kind of connect it. I wish that the opening of the show didn't go down that way, in the sense that like that the Retribution got destroyed, and I was like, all right, I guess they're done. and then Ali cuts this great promo, and it's like, all right, there's some hope for him, but like it's literally 50-50 booking, in the sense of like they're really like squashing them down, and then building them back up, and within the same night. So
yes,
it's kind of like just
absolutely, and it's a 3-hour show. You know what I mean? You're getting like weeks of what would be weeks of television a few years ago is now weeks of television one night because they got beat. You know, that's another thing is Retribution hasn't won a match. They haven't beaten anyone yet. John Clark, how do you feel about Retribution? Ali's the hacker. Where is this team? Where are they as a force? They don't have a match on the pay-per-view.
They don't need one. They're just going to wreak havoc on their own.
True.
They still haven't been on a pay-per-view, by the way.
Colin with the point that I think is worth talking about. We are 3 pay-per-views in. They have not been on a single one. This is Hell in a Cell. I don't think they're on Hell in a Cell.
No, I don't think they are either. But this is the first pay-per-view where they're actually officially on a roster now. But I still think that they're just going to... This is going to be like the Core was. That's it.
Oh, wow. You're comparing them to the Core. People are listen, I watch a lot of WWE, and I almost still had to think myself. It took me 5 seconds to be like, oh yeah, knock off Nexus. Like
I love the
to
Core back in the day.
Yeah,
the Core was great, first of all, but I wouldn't compare Mace to Ezekiel Jackson, but even if he is, it's a former IC champ. So you know,
okay, then we can compare him to League of Nations.
Here's the thing with the Retribution and the Ali. Ali being the hacker, great deal. Glad they tied up that loose end. This was about hyping you up because look at how many players are interacting, and you got Fiend and Alexa and Hurt Business and Retribution.
I will say that was an interesting first 10 minutes of the show, is you had multiple characters all interacting at the same time, and it did make you feel like the show was very interesting. It was a very good opening to Monday Night Raw. And the 8-man tag match was interesting as well. I mean, the Retribution lost, but it was a lot of action. A lot of those guys got to show themselves off, and Ali gets to have his first match with them. But you would have thought they would at least won the match too, you know?
I wanted a bit more of like a hot opener, for lack of a better word. Like it's a season premiere, and I wanted something a little more exciting. It felt weird to have the Fiend and Alexa there, then they disappear, and then the 8-man tag match really just dragged out. I wanted something a little more like, you know, start off the show with something a little more exciting. Not that wasn't exciting, but especially like you said, Kevin, that Retribution lost.
Yeah.
I just thought that it really, the first hour really dragged. And I think the specific like booking that we saw like was reason for that. And I was glad that the show didn't start with Drew McIntyre and Randy again. I did appreciate, but it did also drag. Like it was kind of to give this a very mixed bag of a show in that sense, where they did try to do some different things, and not all of them hit.
All right, yeah, it's a good point. But Fiend had a good night, and Fiend looked good, and fans love the Fiend. and he got to have a Firefly Funhouse where he reminded you that he's the Fiend, which I thought was kind of, I'm not saying it was a waste, but it's like, I think if I'm watching Raw, I know who the Fiend is. I didn't understand why they had to spend an entire segment reminding you who he is, and then now he's on Raw. Like it felt like you didn't think I was watching the first segment of the show. Mind you, the show's 3 hours, right? But I mean, maybe there's something in that. Hey, you're flipping over from something else. Yeah, I understand it. It's a 3 hour show. They want to tell you what happened an hour ago, so I get that. What do you think here, John? The Fiend is on Raw, and it looks like he's. It's not clear who he's going to tangle with. He took out Retribution. Maybe he does something with Retribution tonight, or going forward. But what do you do with the Fiend on Monday Night Raw?
Well, firstly, I think that he's a face now. I think we can agree on that. He's not really a heel. At least I don't get that impression. So I think that maybe he has unfinished business with Strowman. I mean, I know people are sick of seeing that, but you can't really put him against Orton, especially. I mean, I guess you could. Maybe you do throw him with Orton since Orton's a heel. Yeah, I mean, I would do that. Put him with Orton.
They've got history.
I mean, whatever you want to say. I mean, Robert, you know this, and you and I know this from doing all these different shows. He's one of the characters that fans ask about the most. I don't think there's a character in WWE right now where people ask, what is the Fiend going to do? Who is his sister Abigail? They've carved out such a branding of him, and he feels so much, even though, and everyone said, oh, they ruined him when he lost to Goldberg. And I thought that was ridiculous because people are still asking us what he's going to do, and everyone wants to see the Fiend in a match, right?
No, I'm never going to let you get that over. They killed it when he lost to Goldberg. I'm never going to let you do that thing that you try to do where you go, oh, but it's great. It's not great.
Do it.
He lost to Goldberg. It's not great, Kevin.
Come on, DeFields, give it to me.
It's not good. Here's the thing with Bray Wyatt. You mentioned heels and baby faces talking antiquated terms, Jonathan. Don't you know that we're over heels and baby faces? They don't know what the hell they're doing with Bray Wyatt, and you know it. Bray Wyatt has been on the roster for 6 years, and he does the coolest stuff. But here's the problem. This thing with Alexa is like the 50th cool thing he's done, but they're not going to follow up because they don't follow up on anything with Bray Wyatt.
They're trying their best.
I understand that, but golly, their best just isn't good enough. You know? The New York Jets try their best every year. I don't see the Jets winning a single Super Bowl ever. When's the last time they won the Super Bowl? They try their best.
When's the last time they won a game, period?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, come on. Look at Colin up there. Hold Colin up there in Jersey. Colin, are you Giants or Jets? Where do you stand on this?
I guess Giants of the two. I'm more of a Ravens fan as I was born in Baltimore, but
okay.
I avoid.
You're just like, I'm wiping my hands with a whole green and white mess. I don't have to touch any of that. But yes. But I think there's something to be done with the Fiend. I think he'll be a big player on Raw. I think him with the ability to do a Firefly Funhouse, do all the vignettes, do all the character things, that works better on Raw in the long run because you can have him do a match and you can have him do those segments in the same show and it won't feel played out because Funhouse feels like a special thing. It's his own Piper's Pit, right? With his own characters and his own stuff. And then also you can have him kind of second this new version of Alexa Bliss. I think there'll be some bigger things with Alexa Bliss now and her having full-fledged matches and her having the Fiend in her corner and being kind of like, as I've been saying, she's the Harley Quinn to his Joker. That's what they're going for here. And I think fans really responded to it. And she was the right character to do that. The method performance, kind of getting lost in the trance of it all. She got that over. And I think she'll be paid for that with maybe some title run down the line. I think that'll happen before you see anything with the Fiend. I think something will happen with Alexa first, and she'll be paid for her allegiances to him. Other things we saw on Monday Night Raw, the New Day are now on Monday Night Raw, as we got to see Kofi take on Sheamus. Very, very funny line. The funniest part of the night was Kofi making fun of Sheamus for losing to their former, still faction mate, Big E, who's over on SmackDown, and watched on the Thunderdome. They kept cutting to him on the Thunderdome, and he was like dead center in the middle of the ring. They've been doing that since last week's SmackDown. I love this. I love the idea of like it brings it so much more prominent to see someone in the shot. This was for me one of the best matches of the night. It reminded you that the New Day are still a positive team and they're going to still at some point be with Big E, but they're separated. They kind of made all those things clear. and went at it with Sheamus as the heel, just establishing new players on Monday Night Raw. It was functional, great match, trouble in paradise. The good guy wins the day. And also they made fun of Sheamus for not moisturizing and being quote unquote ashy. John, your thoughts, Kofi Kingston, Sheamus?
I don't know what they're doing with Sheamus, but from what I saw tonight, I don't like it. That's for sure. I was hoping he was going to be more relevant and more of a bigger figure than they made him look to be tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And see, it looks like Robert's talking, but he's muted. I don't know if he's talking.
Oh, there you are, Robert. There you are, Robert. You're good. Go ahead, John.
John, you were talking, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just threw that all up. Sorry.
Okay, and the other thing I was going to say is I'm surprised it took them this long to feature superstars on the Thunderdome like they did with Big E. It seems like they just started doing this last week, like 2 months into this thing. What gives to wait this long? I mean, obviously it's just pre-recorded video reactions of these people. They're not actually live watching, I would imagine. But I still think I don't know. It seems like they took the SmackDown tag teams, put them to Raw. The Raw tag teams, put them to SmackDown. They're all in the same place anyway. So what's the difference?
True. And to a degree, they already did that. Miz and Morrison come over to Monday Night Raw, and they challenged Tucker, who doesn't have his tag team partner Otis, who's stuck over on SmackDown, to a match. And the draft means nothing, apparently. It means nothing, as he revealed that he had searched the globe, north, south, east, and west. Digitally in the 30 minutes since he was given this challenge to get a tag team partner, and he revealed that he would have El Gran Gordo, and this was obviously Otis wearing a cape that he wore the entire match. He didn't take the cape off, and a mask, and he was a luchador, but he was a big, goofy, paunchy luchador who body slammed people and he did do some lucha moves. He did do a deep arm drag off the second rope. He did try and do some lucha spots. But the highlight of this was the pre-match promo, which Miz went off on him and said, like, you're a joke. Like, you don't deserve to have Money in the Bank. You're carrying lunch meat in the briefcase. I had that. That made me a star. And I'm such a bigger star because I had it. And you're insulting everyone who had it. I tweeted it out. Miz, Otis wanted to play comedy and put on a mask and goof around, right? And Miz said, no, I'm going to take that chip. I'm going to dip it in the reality sauce. Colin, what do you think of this here? This has been going on a long time. Are they going to take the briefcase off him? Are they going to do something with Miz? I'm not completely out of it, but Miz made this work a little bit more than I thought it was going to work, even though it was really a comedy segment. He snuck in a lot of serious lines in there tonight.
This should not have worked, but it did, in the sense that Otis came out wearing the mask, and like I kind of thought it was going to be stupid, but it was funny. Like, it was great. I liked that. And then, like you said, the Miz really brought it with that promo. I think at this point, like as you mentioned earlier, the brand split's dead, even though they just had the draft. So if we're going to roll with that, we might as well say, all right, well, let's keep bringing Otis over to Raw, or have the Miz stay on SmackDown, or I should say go to SmackDown sometimes, because obviously they're still feuding, and that's great. Win or lose, I think it's good for Otis in the sense that he won the Money in the Bank, and everyone was like, well, that's kind of weird because he was very early on in his like big push. Obviously, they see something in him. I see something in him. I think he's awesome. But when he won Money in the Bank, I don't think he was ready for it because they really hadn't quite built him up enough. So when he won it, I was like, all right, they're gonna do something with him. And then he disappeared for like most of the summer, or at least like this. It may have been due to COVID or something, or I don't know. That's just he was gone, and so that really maybe I don't know, but that took a lot of steam out of his sail, I guess, black better word, in the sense that it didn't give him the chance to have that big feud, or to get those wins, or to just get that exposure, that practice,
or get that serious side of the character. I mean,
right? It's a lot like
the thing
Biggie.
is, when they put the briefcase on him, it made complete sense. At that time, coming out of WrestleMania, he was over like Rover, and I'm not saying he isn't, but he was one of those guys who was getting insane crowd reactions at the end of 19, going into 2020. Even in the Rumble, he got a great reaction. And people loved Otis. He's still very much a lovable character. But I think it's very hard for fans, especially when now he's had the briefcase now for since May? And at no point if they really made it serious beyond once or twice, making it seem like he's going to cash that thing in. And now this is just a holdover program with Miz, who can do everything. Miz has proven, whether you like Miz or not, is he a 5-star classic match guy? No, he is a WWE guy first. He is a sports entertainment player. He can play the serious stuff. He can play the goofy stuff. He can play the tag team matches. And that's what he was designed to do. And I'm surprised they had him be so serious. I think at some point they got to cut out the comedy and make this thing be like, all right, now it's put up or shut up. If you want to cash that thing in, you got to go through me. And they got to make some logic into that. So that's kind of where it stands. They got to drop. Are we doing this or not? You know what I mean? Like they've been dragging this on long enough.
I respect the hell out of you, Kevin. You just said they need to apply logic after talking about a segment that had zero logic.
But it was entertaining. Gran Gordo.
Who cares?
John says it was entertaining. I was entertained.
It sucked. It was. This is awful. This is absolutely awful, and I don't know why you're doing this thing where you're trying to make it sound like it's any good.
It wasn't. It was not entertaining.
It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
It was close.
The worst things I've ever seen.
Close to that.
But we have to realize something here. And listen, I love wrestling, and everybody here loves wrestling. That's why we're here. That's why we do this. But we can't keep doing this thing where we go, well, it wasn't the worst thing ever, so that means, like, here we are. This was stupid. You just had a draft a week ago, and you're telling me...
Robert, you want me to take the gloves off? You really want me to go off on something?
Well, go ahead.
Okay. We were sold at the end of last week's Monday Night Raw on Lana is suddenly a player. All right. Lana wins this dual branded battle royal after getting laid out through table by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler and failing to beat them with her tag team partner, Natalya, quitting on her earlier in the night and then taking her on in the battle royal, nearly winning it, only for Lana to come in and swoop in and win the whole thing and push somebody over the top rope. And wow, Lana suddenly is on, and she can maybe people are thinking going on the internet, wow, what if Lana upsets Asuka? That was a talking point going into tonight's show. And we had Lana earning that title shot in the Battle Royal against Asuka, and it was barely a match. It was more just an angle in which she still won quickly. All right, and this led to the women's tag team champions Nia and Shayna running into the ring. This spirals into a 4-way match. And somehow Lana still gets put through a table for the 5th time in a row. This wasn't awful, but I was like, you sold me on something special with Lana and Asuka. And I thought I was getting a title showdown. And it just kind of crash TV'd into something else. They did crash TV stuff earlier at the beginning of the show with a showdown that breaks into another match. That worked. This, you tried the same trick later in the night and it felt redundant. Colin, I didn't like it. It didn't do any favors to Lana. Almost made Asuka look like a goof, and she tapped somebody out. The only people that look strong in this whole thing are Nia and Shayna. I don't know. It felt like a mess. Too many pieces spinning around and a lot of plates falling down. What do you think, Colin?
I don't know if you guys saw it, but over the weekend, Lana posted a video on social media kind of like trying to make something of this match. Like she was saying that, Asuka's laughing at her. Everyone's laughing at her. It was actually like really good. Like I won't say I don't like Lana, but like every time she's on TV, I kind of like groan. I'm like, oh, all right, here we go. But it was a good promo. It was a good way to kind of just try and make something of this. Honestly, the match was more competitive than I thought it would be. Because like I think 10 seconds in, Asuka almost got in the Asuka lock. I'm like, all right, I guess it's over. And they probably should have done that if they're just going to go with an angle instead of a match. But then Lana got in some offense. Having the women's battle royal main event last week and having Lana win after getting put through tables 4 weeks in a row and just having all that stuff happen didn't make a lot of sense. It could have been a chance to have somebody else win and get that spot to actually have a match. We all know that Lana's going through a table, like we just got a comment saying that's punishment for Rusev. And, like that's not fair. And, it's not surprising either. But I don't know. I based on what happened after the match, we're probably heading for Asuka facing Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And that could be interesting. At the very least, it could get rid of Nia Jax and Shayna to the team. Yeah, I think that's kind of got a short shelf life. Although I will say I was glad they actually did try to add some life to the women's tag division this week.
Yeah, they did.
Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans were surprisingly entertaining in the sense that they showed
the Riot
up.
Squad were drafted to SmackDown.
No,
we know the Prince what's dead. We know this, okay? It's all right. I wish it wasn't, but it is.
It's not dead.
How can it be dead? You literally just did a draft. You're like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this thing where we act like this is okay. You literally just did a draft.
Thank
Fine,
you.
if you want to say that thing where, well, it's their last night to be on Raw because the SmackDown guys got to be on the last SmackDown. Fine. But then you're going to sit here and tell me that you split Peyton Royce and Billie Kay to put her with Lacey Evans for what, though?
Were you not entertained? They had a fun
Were you not
dynamic going.
entertained?
I was not entertained by the Riot Squad at all. I was
not
not
the Riot
entertained
Squad. Not the Riot Squad. I mean,
was I entertained by Lacey and Peyton? Yes, I thought that their antics together were cute. I'm not suggesting that they can't be good as a team, but the problem is you had Peyton Royce in an established tag team with Billie Kay, and you split them up just to put her back in another tag team because you don't know what you're doing. Now, here's the part where I say, if you want to say the split is dead, fine, let's merge these belts, let's merge these divisions, and let's stop this nonsense where we're giving everybody a participation trophy just so we could say, look at how many champions we have. I don't care anymore. You literally had the Street Profits and the New Day swap colors last week just because it's cute. I don't care. I want logic. I want things to make sense, and damn it, they're not.
People loving what you're saying here. Michael's saying you're speaking facts.
I think
FAX.
But I'll say this. Everybody here is fully logical. 3 of the smartest people I have ever worked with. Kevin, yes, Kevin does tend to be a little on the positive side because he knows what he's doing.
Robert, you made it seem like it was a pain for you to say that I was smart.
No. I'm just saying that you like to be a little more on the positive side. And I get that. I respect that. But, like, let's stop doing this thing. Can we hold them accountable for something?
Sure.
This is so bad, bro.
It didn't feel like a different show since SmackDown. You know, they didn't like, they tried some stuff with pyro and different things. They tried some stuff with presentation that felt a little bit bigger.
Like a horrible theme song.
They changed the theme song. They did
they did. Let's get rid of Skillet and the song is called "The Surge" by NF. I asked Jeremy of Fightful who's NF. He said he's done some work with Eminem. That's great. I did not like this. This did not give me the vibe of like, oh, I'm ready for Raw. I'll just say this, like I'm fully in. Like, let's somehow.
Robert, people are really with you on this. We were just going to town.
Right.
Let's somehow skip to the Royal Rumble. Let's hope and pray that we've got people back. I want to sit in the stands at a Royal Rumble and watch Edge win the Royal Rumble. I'm ready to get past this. Let's go. Like, let's.
Robert's just like, can we all be cryogenically frozen, wake up with a vaccine, and we're at WrestleMania? That's exactly what you're asking for.
I just look ago. Let me go off with the comment here that says Kevin wants to spread his seed of positivity. And you know what? I get it. Can
I talk Colin into this? Colin may not know this bit. Colin, people say I'm too positive for WWE, and WWE is a majority of what we have to cover, to the point where I've been described more than once as not just pro WWE, but sexually aroused by WWE things. Colin, you give me some 50-50 booking, my nipples are getting hard. Okay? All right? You want to make me fan myself? Oh my God. Is it a DQ interference finish before a pay-per-view? Oh. All right, you on board, Colin? All right, cool. So yes, Kev will always stay horny for WWE. I'm rock hard. For
I can
work that comes out of Stanford, Connecticut.
I can respect that. Absolutely.
I do not.
That's a place for a Blue Chew advertisement right there.
Yeah, Blue Chew, baby. We gotta get that Blue Chew.
We need to work on that marketing so we can like legit talk about some Blue Chew. But I respect that Kevin stays true to himself. But I just want a little bit of accountability. Colin, you know what I'm talking about. John knows what I'm talking about.
Robert, you're the voice of the people tonight. People are saying that you are the man type for going through. They're saying thank you, Robert. They're saying preach. They're feeling you, dude.
What happens when I can watch with an objective mind? Because I've just had it. Like,
and someone's saying I'm the Lars Sullivan of WWE.
No.
Do you have something to tell us?
No. If I did, God bless you if I did. But I'm not the Lars Sullivan of WWE.
Kevin ain't got no problems in that department.
No, I do not.
Kevin does not. He does happen to look like the man, though. Kevin, you don't want to shave.
I get what you're going for. Bald head.
You don't want to shave, bro.
Yeah, like it's a astoundingly new look. Other things on tonight's Monday Night Raw. We have several things in development with Elias. He got to do something that Elias is one of the few people in WWE can do. He got to perform music. And we've seen him do the musical bit where he gets in front of live audiences and gets booed out of buildings by starting to play a song and insulting the audience and saying that he's the greatest rock and roll star of all time. I was at WrestleMania and he did this, and it was effective. It was like one of the funnest non-wrestling things I've ever seen live is him just getting heat. He's getting Vicky Guerrero heat, but there's no crowd. So how do you really ramp that up? How do you bring in his musical gimmick? He just came back from injury. He got hit by a car that was not driven by Jeff Hardy, but he thought it was driven by Jeff Hardy.
And watch
He
the
comes out,
program.
the whole band with him.
Watch the show. Like, watch your own show, Elias. Then you wouldn't be mad at Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, exactly. But he comes out. He has this whole band with him. He gets pyro. He plays like 2 songs.
It was
they're like
good.
They're not
good.
bad songs, but I was
That
like,
was the best
holy
part of
shit!
Raw.
Like, and he can play music.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't just like a bit where he can play like a little bit of a guitar, and it's just like him playing a song and make fun of a town. John Clark, what do you think of Elias and his kick-ass pop country band here?
This was, without a doubt, for me, the best part of the show, and it was literally just him singing 2 songs. I was surprised by how good it was, and let me ask you a question. Was that genuinely Jeff Hardy playing the guitar? Like, does he actually know how to play the guitar that good? Because that was pretty good if he actually knows how to
We
play
didn't
guitar.
see his face.
Yeah, I
so
know,
it
that's
was
what
his
I'm
back
saying.
to the camera. And this could have been a taped segment. There's some parts of Raw that are taped. There's some parts of it that are live. I could see this, especially with the band being in that type of segment that with not I could see them absolutely taping this.
We're getting the same old thing where Elias finally gets himself into a relevant feud and he gets a pay-per-view match and he loses because Jeff Hardy's going to win.
Colin, chime in here. What do you think of Elias's halftime Super Bowl performance on Monday Night Raw?
I saw a Twitter post saying the gimmick only works if they can't sing. So that is interesting that Elias is actually good. So, like, you don't want to boo him in that sense. Like, even though he's a heel, even though you're supposed to boo him, like, when he's singing good music, like, it's good. Like John said, it was actually one of the better parts of the show.
It wasn't a great song. It was just impressive to see him actually do it full force.
I think, unlike what John said, I think Sunday could be a really good chance for Elias to pick up a big win. Not that I think necessarily think it will happen. I think if it did happen, it would work wonders for Elias because he does keep coming out on the losing end of these big feuds. So if he does win, that would really just help kind of solidify him and bring him back in a big way. I would hope he does win. We'll have to see what happens. And I was just glad we got some more clarification about the match card for Sunday because at this point, it's still very much up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do have the 3 Hell in a Cell matches are confirmed. These are the matches that are confirmed for the pay-per-view so far, and they are the main selling points. It'll be SmackDown Women's Championship Hell in a Cell, Bayley versus Sasha. That certainly has a lot of storyline and makes sense. The WWE Championship Hell in a Cell match between Drew McIntyre defending against Randy Orton. That was sold on tonight's Monday Night Raw. And the Universal Championship Hell in a Cell I Quit match between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Let me just tell you, of all the things we're talking on Raw, the Jey Uso Roman Reigns match and Sasha and Bayley, mostly those are matches sold on SmackDown, are matches that are quite more compelling than what's been sold so far on Monday Night Raw. SmackDown really has been a very, very entertaining show. I watched it on Friday. I had a good time. I really like the ending of it, and it blows Raw out of the water right now. There is a stark difference in terms of it goes SmackDown for me, NXT's right there with it, and Raw, it isn't awful, but it's a significant third. If not, you have NXT UK if you really just want to watch everything that WWE.
Don't go that far, Kevin. Scale it back a little bit. I wouldn't put NXT UK above Raw, but I do think SmackDown has proven to be the superior show over the last several weeks. I'm excited for Colin to be joining the podcast family and doing a SmackDown post show very soon on this channel.
Colin, have we decided on a name for the show? Have we settled on it? Because you and I've pitched a name. I don't think this is going to be the name. I pitched a name. Can I say my ridiculous name that I pitched for the show?
Go ahead.
I pitched Robert and John. He's going to do the SmackDown post show that we'd have Fridays into like Saturday mornings, right? And everyone is talking smack, something down. I thought, why don't we go back to the 2000 new metal, super emo, I'm a teenager, mad at my room classic from Disturbed. What if we did Down with the Smackness, which would have been my idea And Robert says it was
Kevin,
awful.
that's
John
It's
really
gonna be a
thumbs
no
it
for me,
down.
dog.
And now I
yeah,
understand, Colin, I get it. Now putting this up to the panel, I understand exactly why that didn't happen. Right? I understand why that didn't happen here. But we'll have that show coming out Fridays into Saturdays. Subscribe to our video feed on Facebook and YouTube, and of course our podcast feed as well. If you want to listen to it on demand, that'll be coming up soon. A lot to cover there as well. Other people agreeing with me here that SmackDown is a significantly better show, and that they really, really enjoyed it. It is the most watched show in wrestling right now by a wide margin. I have some people telling me that AEW. So
Not this week, though.
What?
Not this week.
Yeah, not this week. They're on FS1.
Not this week. No.
They're gonna die. They're gonna die a horrible
They're going
death.
back
because
to
they're going to be on
the
FS1 this
0.6
week.
they
It's
had
gonna be a
last
different
year when they
story
did
here.
this.
So what other pieces of Monday Night Raw am I not touching on? We touched on almost all the big stuff that was worth talking about. Is there something that comes to mind that maybe we should touch on before we give it the old 1 to 10?
I just want to circle back to Bray Wyatt and Alexa for a second, because
Sure.
I really do like the Joker and Harley dynamic, and like I can't get enough of what they're doing. Like I thought it was really cool having Alexa come out in the Firefly Funhouse, and like you said earlier, Kevin, I think that Alexa is definitely going to be the Raw Women's Champion. I'll say probably by the end of the year, given that Asuka's had the title since the summer now. I think that like she's really her character's got a lot of momentum, and that'd be a really good way to just kind of really solidify that. Whereas like Bray doesn't need the title right now. He could feud with Randy, he could feud with anyone on Raw really, but I think Alexa winning the title would be a really good way to just kind of add even more kind of credibility to what she's doing, because I think it's really entertaining. It is very like unique, and like you said earlier, everyone wants to talk about Bray Wyatt, but now that Alexa Bliss has been added to the mix, like she's really holding her own in that sense. So I'm really enjoying it.
She's doing great, and I think Alexa's proven to be, whether it's when it's sink or swim, Alexa swims, and she always manages to be at the top of whatever brand she's on. The thing is, I'm having a hard time getting past this initial stage. All right, we get it. They're creepy. It's Joker and Harley. Now let's get them into a rivalry. Let's get them going on something that we can sink our teeth into. But I just think Raw is, let's throw stuff at the wall right now and let's just see what sticks. Yeah. And that is the pillar of Monday Night Raw. We didn't even talk about Keith Lee, Braun Strowman. Does anybody care? And I know, listen, Kevin was very, very, let's not rush to bury Keith Lee. Let's not rush to say he's buried. Does anybody think that, Keith Lee at this point isn't, great? Like, he's good, but they're going to kill him on the main roster because they don't know what they're doing. It's just, that is what it is. The main roster right now is literally just, how can we survive every year? It's how can we survive until January, and then how can we survive until SummerSlam? That is the only thing WWE thinks about.
I think it's a little bit too on the surface. I think that's just too much of a broad judgment of everything. With Keith Lee, I think they can do some really, really big things with them. In the same way that I think something big is going to happen with Big E, but people are just going to be mad that it isn't happening right now. You got him here. You put him in there with Randy Orton. He beat Randy Orton. Let's go. What are we getting? Gimme now. I want the thing. And you're not getting it right away. So then he must be buried, right?
No.
He's not buried. He's kicking people in the balls.
This is the problem.
We got to see him. He put Braun Strowman's balls well past his hands. Braun Strowman's going to have to use his monster hands to go inside of his body to get his balls after they got kicked in there last night. Big Haas match between them tonight. I was expecting more. I think they got cut off by time. I think the show wasn't paced differently. It didn't have a ton of time. Almost maybe why that match, that segment at the end of the night was there. Like, this didn't get the meat on the bone with these two big Haas guys in the ring. I was hoping this would be the match of the night, and it was underwhelming. It was fun. But it wasn't great. It could be great. Yeah, you're right. Keith Lee can be great. He's just not great right now, and I think that's what people are disappointed.
I want to give these guys a chance to weigh in on it before you circle back to me, because I think it's clear where I stand.
John Clark, go ahead. Dump on this thing,
John first. You got it, John.
I'll tell you what. I pretty much agree word for word with what Robert said. I just do. I mean, a lot of this stuff just doesn't make sense.
I feel like it was intentional in the sense that, like, clearly their feud's going to keep going, so they probably intentionally had a short match, and underwhelmed intentionally in a way where they didn't want to give away this big, all-out match where it's like the traditional Haas fight where like, wow, that's awesome. Like they're probably saving that. We very well could get a rematch on Sunday if they find that the card is kind of, like I said earlier, pretty much up in the air beyond the big matches. Like that could easily be on the show or on Raw next week, because they like to do that sometimes. So they'll kind of like hold off the pay-per-view match for the show.
They have more than enough depth to not give everything away on pay-per-view. I think people can understand that now.
No, but they have more than enough depth to not give everything away on pay-per-view. You have a pay-per-view in about 5 days now, and there's 4 matches announced.
Exactly.
That is ridiculous. And I know why they do it. Yes, we're media people. We know that they're going to announce it on Facebook and Twitter and on their millions of shows because they have to keep the algorithms moving. But it makes their television shows seem inconsequential. You can't wonder why numbers are dropping when people don't feel the need to tune into your shows. I can watch the main parts of Raw on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, give me a reason to tune into your show. Now, back to Keith Lee. You said, it's people wanting it right now. But here's the problem. You brought him in with the intention of giving it all to him right now. You had him beat Randy Orton and wrestle the champion. Why didn't you bring him in with a slow build? No, because you want that immediate boom. And then
the cool off is pissing you off.
Yeah, because they do the same thing. It's that immediate bang of, hey, look, new, isn't this exciting? It's new, it's crazy. And then you cool them off because you're like, well, we have time, and we're playing our cards. No, you're not. You're just doing the thing you always do. If you're going to go with them, you can't be half pregnant. Either go in all the way or don't do it at all. Why did you take this guy away from NXT where they're hurting right now, to have him sitting in the mid-card on Raw as just another guy?
I don't think they took him away and they knew people were going to get injured in the main event.
True.
NXT so often.
Granted, but they still took him away and NXT's still hurting. The point still stands. They could have really used Keith Lee for another couple months.
All right, so let's look at it here. People with comments. We have people chiming in 7.2, 7.5. Those are pretty kind ratings based on what we've been talking about tonight, but we're going to give the final verdict here. The 1 to 10, 1 being the revolting blob. That was a fun reference by Tom Phillips tonight. And 10 being Billy Madison. Do we get a blob or a Billy tonight? Robert, you have been very, very mean. So I'm going to hold off on your rating because I assume it's going to be severe. But we have a guest. We have a first-time friend here. All right, first time on the show. You're right. John's pointing up to him. All right, let's go all the way up to the northeast. All right. Mr. Colin Tessier, 1 to 10. What is your rating?
Can I give a rating for like effort and like actual like?
No, you get one flat rating. You get one hard number.
All right.
You can do points. You can do points on the number too.
I'll go for a 6.
Okay, he's going for a 6. All right. That seems about where I'm at. I'm not giving mine yet. John Clark, I'll give mine after yours. What do you think? Tonight's Monday Night Raw. We've been pretty brutal to it. All right, we've been pretty mean. You're agreeing with Robert. Usually you love yourself some WWE on Monday nights. All right, but it seems like you've been turning the past few weeks. So what say you? 1 to 10.
4.5.
Ooh,
man.
That is the lowest I've ever seen you give a show. I think that's the lowest rating I've ever seen you give a show. A 4.5. Ouch. Oh man. I can't be horny when I hear that number. That can't happen. But let me tell you, my sex drive for WWE, it's not too hard tonight. Okay. I think on Sunday they're going to get me.
The blue pill.
I think I'm going to take that blue pill on Friday and it's going to get me. I think I'm going to take that blue chew from I'm going to watch FS1. It won't even be the most watched wrestling show this week. I'm giving this week's Monday Night Raw fat and even 5.5.
How does that make you feel that Raw will still be the most watched wrestling show this week?
It's just a matter of circumstance. It's been on air for 25 years. 30 years. I think I don't think I know you're on the side of the best show should get the most viewers, right?
Yes.
But that's not the way media works, everybody. If that was true, then Big Bang Theory wouldn't have been on for 10 years. All right. There's much funnier shows.
Whoa.
I'm coming at Big Bang Theory, Robert. I'm coming at Big Bang Theory.
On Sheldon and Leonard right now.
I'm coming at Big Bang Theory, dude. I'm tugging my shirt and coming at Big Bang Theory. All right, there are much funnier shows than Big Bang Theory.
I think that was an unnecessary low blow, Kevin.
Was
Be
it
that as it may,
unnecessary?
let's do this one real quick. I give this show a 4.
Okay.
The large part of that just being the Ali stuff was great. Fiend and Alexa look like they can do something. The Hurt Business will always be good, and I like Big Jordan. So there's my 4 points. That's my 4. This was just not a strong show, but I will say we are in that autumn stretch. It is just what it is. But
this is the time of year cyclically where they hold off on some things and then they kind of ramp it up around Survivor Series time.
But I think before we get into some questions and some final goof arounds as we normally do on this show, I gotta circle back to some nonsense that Kevin was spewing about Otis. Like this was, did you guys hear him say, oh, when they put Money in the Bank on him, he was so ready, he was over. Oh,
he was over.
He was over.
But with who? There was no audience, Kevin.
Fans.
They lost the audience by Money in the Bank.
He was coming off WrestleMania. He was red hot going into WrestleMania.
There was no reason to give him a guaranteed shot at a world title. They thought it was ha-ha. They thought it was tickle butt, and they didn't think beyond that. And now we are here where he is a masked luchador on Raw, and I hope to God that by Survivor Series, The Miz has this briefcase. Because it is ridiculous. I mean, Otis got organically over. Yes, I'll give you that. He's got organically over. So how does WWE respond? Let's take away the girl and the tag team partner because we've lost the audience by circumstance. So now he has nothing to fall back on. I don't know why they're doing this, but here we are. Like, I think Otis is one of the lowest points of WWE, and I think they shouldn't have bothered.
Come on,
that's not
Otis.
true.
Otis is not one of the.
They should not have bothered splitting Heavy Machinery. You're not going to get me to turn around on that. They did it because it's shock value, and within 3 days, they already couldn't think of something else to do because Otis is on Raw. Why?
Do you want to talk about shock value outside of WWE?
I'll give shock value outside WWE. Why are you wearing a shirt of a website that you don't even work for? That's shocking.
I was wondering the same thing.
What are you doing?
The great people north of the border, Post Wrestling.
John Pollock is great. I love him, but why are you wearing their shirt? You don't even work for him.
I want to wear a wrestling shirt, huh?
Kevin is not loyal.
Are you going to show me your tramp stamp tattoo that says Sean Ross Sapp's name on it?
I don't have a tramp stamp tattoo that says Sean Ross Sapp's name on it. By the way, though, since you brought up the good brother, 2 things from Fightful Select were confirmed on tonight's show. Ali being the hacker and Big Jordan debuting. So shout out to the man, Sean Ross Sapp, and we thank you.
You used my barb, my joke, my sharp wit.
To commend somebody else in the community? Yes, I did. Thank you.
Someone else in the community. Look at you and you're so civil. John, I want to get your take on this. I know you're a fan of sports and different things in this. One of the biggest sports scandals of all time in the NBA was Tim Donaghy, a former NBA referee, exiled from the league, went to federal prison for 15 months being involved in a gambling scandal, is going to be utilized as the personal referee of Richard Holiday in MLW. MLW will be using him for their Restart series. This is definitely designed to get them some publicity and get them some attention. What do you think of this? This is very out there.
I guess it's a little bit of a controversial move, but I mean, if we're being honest, I could really care less. I don't think the casual fan is really going to care that much. But it has been getting some publicity, so we'll see how much more it gets. What do you think?
I think it's the design of it is to get publicity and find a guy who has a name that people will report on and they'll go with and do some big things with. And I think that's what they're going for. Another story over here. Let me shoot over to you, Colin Tessier. Dark Side of the Ring renewed for a 3rd season. We kind of saw this coming on Vice Channel. Have you enjoyed the series so far? For every hardcore wrestling fan, there is always one episode that they pick out they really enjoy. There's some I just can't stomach to watch.
I've really enjoyed it. I haven't seen all of it. I'm like working my way through it. I'm trying to remember. I just watched the one about Dr. D or whoever.
Oh, that one's great.
That one's very good. I like that.
Dr. D, David Schultz, who punched a reporter on ABC News and got blackballed by WWE and then became like a bounty hunter and almost had like a bounty hunter. That one is one of the. I like the ones that are a little bit more entertaining. That one's not as dark as the other ones.
Right.
I watched about maybe 10 minutes of the Owen Hart one. It was just too hard for me to watch. And then there's any shot at the show. It's just kind of hard to watch. Robert, has there been a Dark Side of the Ring that you could handle or one that you found a little bit more entertaining? I know that you and I loved the Brawl for All one.
I've watched all of them, and the UWF one was good. The story of Herb Abrams and then the Herbie cookie and the cocaine and the strippers is just an amazing like pro wrestling story. They're hard to stomach, but you cannot deny the journalistic abilities of the Owen Hart episode and the Chris Benoit two-parter were just eye-opening and really special episodes. And they're coming back with 14 episodes, the most that they've done so far. I know there's a Brian Pillman one. I believe there's an Ultimate Warrior one. It's gonna be a good time, and I can't wait for it to come out on Vice.
Absolutely. If you're looking for something else to consume before you get to the Halloween days, Robert and I stomached through all 3+ hours of Halloween Havoc 1998, a show that is stacked with talent. But it is just a weird show. And if you want to hear him and I just groan through this thing, and we have some fun moments just goofing on the show and 1998 pop culture as well. We love looking at all the signs and fashions in the crowd, the fashions. You can fire that off on your second screen and watch it with us as well. We have that on the podcast feed. James Storm, one of the biggest free agents in pro wrestling. He cleared the slate with us and talked to us about his future, his new children's book, which is out on the market right now. You can listen to that interview, as well as the latest episode of Two Dynamite Dudes with Attitudes. I don't want to hear any WWE. I only want it all elite. We have it over there for you with the D'Angelo brothers. So, Colin, get your plugs in. Where can they follow you on the Twitter machine?
I'm on Twitter at CT_2110.
All right. And of course, check him out on the upcoming SmackDown post show, which will not be called Down with the Smackness, though I pitched that. I will try and think of a Limp Bizkit song that I can switch into that. Maybe there's a Limp Bizkit song we can get.
I think we're settled on the SmackDown Double Down.
All right. I'm okay with that.
I like
SmackDown
that.
Double Down. Yeah, Robert's into it.
That.
He loves KFC. He's on board. All right. I'm with it. All right. All right. And of course, let's go over to the man who is always, we're always trying to get a 7.5 dog out of him, but we didn't get one tonight. We got a 4.4. Oh boy.
Maybe Wednesday. We get
a 7.5 dog. John Clark, where can they check you out on news on WrestleZone? You're working Sunday, right?
Sunday mornings up until 4 p.m., 3:30, right around there.
That's when
from the morning
over.
until
And that's when the boy takes over.
Give him the hot tag over to him. There we go. Robert DeFelice, we have to loan him out and share custody with him on a bunch of different websites. I mentioned that I get to have him on some days, and then Sean Ross Sapp has him on the weekends. That is our divorce proceedings.
Listen, this is not a matter of anything other than me being completely a slave to the dollar, and I am here in the zone for this show, for tomorrow's show, and for Thursday's show. I do news Tuesday morning with Bill Pritchard, Wednesday with Colin and Bill Pritchard, and Thursday with Dominic and Bill Pritchard. I'm all over the place. I'm here on Friday as well. Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, I'm over at Smark Out Moment on their YouTube channel. Come and listen to me. As soon as I jump off of here, I'm going to get on the call with Tony Mango and do a 1996 mock draft, because that's far more entertaining than Monday Night Raw was tonight. And of course, Friday through Sunday, I'm on Fightful, and I'll be doing the Wednesday Night War podcast. I wish I could be here with Kevin and John as we run down NXT and AEW.
You had to go head-to-head with us.
I was offered a position, and thankfully you have John, and I'm leaving you in good hands. I wouldn't leave you with anybody else, but I can trust John, and John is a great man.
I can trust John. I can trust him. Note that word, trust, Robert. No.
Colin is sitting here. This is his first one. This was fun.
Yeah, Colin kicked some ass, dude. Hell yeah. Came in here with a My Chemical Romance hoodie on. He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
Get on the Black Parade.
We appreciate Black Parade in this house. And, I'm just glad to be here. I thought this was far more entertaining than Raw. Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
I had a great time. This is awesome.
I had a great time. And if you had a great time, don't forget to share the link to this. Maybe you don't want to share it all. I put too much wrestling stuff on my feed. tag one of your friends in the comments below, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. If you enjoy the audio of this, that's really, really cool. Thank you so much. We have so much more. If you are just downloading this, you can stream the show as well on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Go ahead and give us a 5-star review on all those apps as well. It really, really helps out the show. Thank you so much for supporting everything we do. I know, especially now when people are spending so much more time with media, the time you spend with media seems so much more important now because we can't spend as much time physically together. And when we can, those times will be worth it. And we will remember that you spent some time with us as well. We'll get through this. Wash your hands, get out there, vote. Do it safely. Keep your distance. If you need a ruler and you need to push some people away, all right, you need to find a big Jordan to help you get down to the ballot box, we'll do it. All right. So thank you so much for supporting the show. We will return with some breaking news as we're now doing on the afternoons. Stay tuned for those breaking news updates. Make sure you have your notifications on to know when I have that news streaming live to you. And of course, get it all at the one place that's been awesome at it since 1998. We're talking about WrestleZone.com. Remember, when watching wrestling, let's give it to Colin. Colin, do you know the sign off here? When watching wrestling, the main thing is that you're supposed to enjoy wrestling. That's how we do the sign off here. So we may have had, all right, some illogical booking. We may have had some people that were supposed to be drafted to SmackDown that aren't on SmackDown. We may have had Otis and a mess. But when watching wrestling, we still did what?